Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City staff, and the members of the public. This is Tanya Chen, Controller. I'm here today to provide an update on the corrective action plan in connection with the 2020 single audit report. As you might be aware, Christine Williams, our internal control senior manager, who has been providing these updates, recently retired from the city. I'm happy to filling in on behalf of the finance department. Today, I will be covering two topics. Number one, the current status of the corrective action plan. Number two, our continuous progress on the corrective action plan. Here's the definition slide of the different statuses of the corrective action plan. You have seen this slide several times in the past, so I won't get into the details. But just to refresh you on the 6 categories we have on the various stages of the corrective action plan. They are complete, to be tested, PMP draft or policy procedure draft, in progress, not started, and passed / no longer required. This is a slide that Christine presented in the last update to the City Council back in November of last year, 6 months ago. I would like to draw your attention to the last column on this page. You can see that the number of cumulative findings from 2015 to 2019 is 183 in total. We also have repeated findings year after year. So we have 25 of those. So the total number of unique findings is 158 if you exclude these repeated findings. As of October last year, we had 16 unresolved findings remaining out of the 158 unique cumulative findings. Now, fast forward to March of this year. I'm happy to report that we have made great progress over the last 6 months in tackling these remaining findings. If I may draw your attention to the very bottom of the page. As of March of this year, we have only 6 audit findings left, and none are in the material weakness category, which is the most severe kind of audit findings. Here's a bar chart you have seen in the past updates. It demonstrates the journey we have taken to address the city's audit findings over the last 2 years, from March 2019 to March 2021. Let me draw your attention to the bottom part of the chart. The long red bar on the top represents the number of findings, audit findings, as of March 2019, 2 years ago. There were a total of 87 unresolved findings. The short green bar on the very bottom represents the current number of findings as of March this year, which is a total of 6. As you can see, we have resolved 81 findings over these past 2 years. That's 93% reduction. So here's a list of remaining 6 audit findings. Let me briefly discuss each of these findings and provide an update on where we are with resolving this. First one, update to indirect cost allocation plan. So this finding indicates that the city does not have a cost allocation plan or indirect cost proposal prepared in accordance with the uniform guidance. Without approved plan, the city cannot allocate the indirect costs to the federal grants. The status. The finance department is developing an indirect cost allocation plan in accordance with the guidance. the Internal Service Funds ISF allocation was completed and implemented last fiscal year. For the indirect cost allocation plan, the finance department staff are researching indirect cost allocation plans from other cities before updating the city's own plan and submitting to the federal government for review and approval. The anticipated implementation date is this calendar year. The next one, lease agreements. The condition of the finding is that the city does not have a process to identify and evaluate all lease agreements. So this could lead to a misstatement of the city's assets and liabilities. The status is that with assistance from the external accounting firm, we have conducted multiple training sessions with the department heads and the city staff on how to identify lease agreements. Additionally, a lease accounting checklist has been provided to the purchasing department, which will be the central point to flag any lease agreement for accounting's further review. This corrective action plan is ready to be tested by the auditors. Next one, pension plans. So there's a lack of review of census data used by CalPERS and PARS for the calculation of the city's net pension liability. Auditors noted discrepancies in certain demographic and compensation data. This condition could cause the misstatement of pension-related assets and liabilities. Our human resource payroll department has developed audit procedures to review and validate the census data, and these audit procedures will be implemented by September of this year. Next one, notes receivable. The finding is that there are no procedures in place to collect payments from the developers based on residual revenue. So our housing department has developed and implemented a policy and procedure and is ready to be tested by the auditors. The remaining two findings relate to information technology general controls and will be communicated to the City Council via a separate confidential written report. Okay. In addition to our continued efforts to resolve these remaining audit findings, so here are some additional highlights and actions we have taken or will take to further improve internal controls for the city. With respect to internal control integrated framework, ICIF, we have implemented 6 policies adopted by the City Council between September of last year and March of this year. The 3 remaining policies will be adopted in this fiscal year, 2021. Our new internal control senior manager will start in early May. We continue to provide trainings to our staff and the finance and governance committee serving as the audit committee. In addition to the 2 sessions completed in February of this year, we have scheduled 2 additional training sessions with the committee in September and November. Our ERP project is ongoing. One key milestone we have accomplished is the completion of the new chart of accounts, which will lay the foundation for the new ERP system and will enable further enhancement of our internal controls. That will conclude our presentation. We would like to recommend that the City Council receive the 2020 single audit report from the audit firm ED&Payne and update on the corrective action plan from staff.